going on, everybody? Zero here. Still hot and fresh from Combo Breaker 2025. We went through a rage queue yesterday, but let me tell you, today is a brand new day. Brand new day. Patch 2.10 is basically out. At this point, we have it installed. We have access to Galleon. But before we do anything, I want to try to look at all the resources that are ahead of us here for the latest patch to hit Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. So without further ado, let's dive right in with version 2.10 patch notes. We'll come back to the top. We got the Galleon character guide. We're going to absolutely play the character a little bit here, but I want to go through the notes first. We'll scroll back up, watch the video, and then we'll actually play. So, kick things off. Main menu. Quick menu added to the main menu screen. Players can swap between main menu and quick menu at any time. Players can add their favorite game modes. Quick menus can easily access features they use the most. Background image for the quick menu can be set to any image that has been unlocked in the journal. That sounds awesome. Nice little addition here, so I can have training and my rank match, everything that I need right on the front page. So that's pretty cool. Option to play in training mode while waiting for an opponent in the online lobby. That's pretty cool. Added opponent character as a filter option. Filter option for custom versus rank range under character. Okay. Hey, what's up, Neo Geo? How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream. I don't know why I didn't see it. No, I did. Let's see. Sword Rupee shop. Just character colors for Galleon, which we're expecting to see here in a bit. Let's see here. Punish training has been added to the training menu. Oh! This feature allows players to practice punishes against particular skills and matchups, not having to manually use the record function to set up training situations. Recommended punishment not work for all characters, and new punishes are planned to be added in subsequent updates. That's pretty cool. You're here for the Pro Galleon content? Let me tell you, I wish I would have saved it. I just had to double check the character roster to see if she was there. She's there. She's there. She's there. Oh my goodness, she's there. If she's strong, you might dabble back in Grand Blue. You better get on it now. You may as well get on it now while it's 61% off. Just in case, for the whole base roster. Or you can just get the base version and buy her by herself, so you don't have to get the whole cast. Either way, now is like the time to get in Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising if you don't already own the game. Rank match point system has been reworked. You can see that announcement for more details, which we saw. They're going to do a scoring system as opposed to the gem system to get a wider playing field of rank play. You're only missing like 3 characters. Easy. Easy. Grand Brews, points have been added. Cool. Steam only fixed an issue where reporting a player directly from the profile card sometimes causes the game to be unresponsive. Tragic. Interesting. So transfer Versusia purchase bonus serial code on the serial code screen, mistakenly displayed as to be purchased bonus serial code. I have a bunch of serial codes. I should start using those. Now that I actually play Grand Blue proper, I should probably use those codes. I still have the vanilla codes that I've never used. Fixed issue in the guest book, crew book, Shark to Glory, where repeatedly pushing pause button would sometimes cause the pop-up message displaying correctly. Okay, fine. I'm gonna make sure that I don't get ads. Seemingly in Japanese only issue with save replays tab. Okay. So just some light adjustments here. All right, so system-wide changes. Building upon the adjustments made in version 2.0, the primary goal of this update is to further refine and balance the risk and reward aspects of gameplay, while focusing on making individual adjustments to characters that didn't get large changes in the last patch. So it, like I said in the last patch for 2.0, it was an incremental step. It seemed like where it was just, they've always had this cadence of going for, let's make minor adjustments first before we take the sledgehammer to it. Let's just make sure things settle in, and also was very close to Arc World Tour Finals, so no sweeping changes. Obviously, they did try to normalize some characters. Belial was a big one, right? But for the most part, the last patch wasn't too significant. But they did adjust that risk reward, right? So, multi-hit normal attacks. Multi-hit normal attacks executed immediately before the combo limit is reached no longer trigger combo limit with the second hit onwards. That's interesting. Interesting. So what? I can still finish a... I think that extends combos a little bit then. We'll have to try that out. Jumping attacks performed during the rising portion of a jump no longer hit crouch blocking. What? This is intended as a response to so-called fuzzy attacks. Despite being a high-level technique that only worked in specific instances, it would create situations where it would be hard to tell why a hit landed, making it difficult for the opponent to understand how to respond. On top of this, the payoff greatly differed from character to character. We have been making adjustments over time to try and mitigate their effect on gameplay, when we finally made the drastic decision to completely remove them from the game. Oh, okay. All right, finish reading. Oh, okay. Holy smokes. Woo. Okay. All right, finish reading this one before I was about to have a panic attack right there, because that was my immediate concern, was fairy jump L. Like, holy crap. All right, so following exceptions, jump L, fairy's jumping L was specifically designed as an overhand attack to open up foes and is an important part of her toolkit and is thus unchanged. Zeta jump U is jumping U canceled in mid-air normal attacks will still behave as prior. We're good. The fuzzy offenders are still going to keep their fuzzies. Everyone else, though, no. So that probably really impacts Narmaya. There were a couple others. Really Narmaya, right? And maybe some situations brought upon because of Versusia. Technical inputs. Fix an issue where whiffing with the following character skills in midair will cause the next skill to deal additional technical input damage, even when performed with simple inputs or cancel into. Grimnir Wind Crest, Cagliostro Mihen or Spare Body, Seox Gate of Demons, and Ladiva Leg Drop of Adoration. Okay. A little bit of a jump scare at first, but I think we're still okay. Very short list of characters to get adjusted. The fact that Nier is back on this list is very interesting. Vane, I hope, gets nothing but buffs. I need more Vane in my life. Beatrix. I know I play her, but I don't think she really needs much. Interested to see what Versusia does. I think Sandalphon maybe gets buffs. Maybe. Bro, nerf this character. nerf Vaseraga. Let's see that happen. Here we go. Ladiva. Adjustments have been made to Ladiva's throw-based skills and skills tied to her neutral game. Despite being a grappler character, her primary countermeasures often relied on strike-based attacks. To expand her options, both offensively and defensively, the startup of Light Jewel Resort Screwdriver has been reduced to 5 frames, and the throw range for the U version has been adjusted to match that of the Light version. Fair. Slow startup for Light Medium Elegant Lariat makes it difficult to use effectively while applying pressure during rushdown. I almost don't agree. While the startup remains unchanged, both the travel speed and distance have been increased. Fair. This adjustment makes it easier for her to counter backsteps and dodges. Fair. Allowing her to more effectively restrict her opponent's movement options. We gotta let the grappler get some dubs. To help counter projectiles, the projectile invulnerability window for medium and heavy Headbutt of Love has been extended. Additionally, the amount of SPA gauge gained when negating a projectile has been increased. Interesting. That'll be fun. Okay. Finally, the damage for light, medium, and heavy versions of Devoted Body Slam has been increased and now benefits from the buff provided from performing Work the Crowd after landing Jewel Resort Screwdriver. Close range attack activation distance. Distance from which the opponent could perform close range attacks on Ladiva mid-air was shorter than when she was grounded, so they now share the same activation distance. As a result of this change, attacks that are within close range on grounded Ladiva will continue to be close range even if she jumps. Startup of 2U has been reduced, and Ladiva now comes to a stop more quickly. Travel distance has increased very slightly as a result of this change. Vertical hitbox has been expanded forward. Alright. I see. Dash H, counter hit window for follow-up attacks has been extended. Jewel Resort startup from 7 to 5 frames. Throw range extended of Alt. Work the crowd landing Jewel Resort Screwdriver, leg drop of Adoration, or Devoted Body Slam will no longer cause the damage buff to end. Can now throw mid-air blocking foes. Oh. Forward throw range extended. Headbutt of Love, all versions except Alt, SPA gauge upon negating a projectile increased. Invincibility window from 22 to 33, from 10 to 30. Holy smokes. And 10 to 22 for the heavy version. And then the follow-up 1 to 20. Okay. Jesus. Hitbox expanded downward, causing it to now hit crossovers. Excuse me. I swear to God, if I get anti-aired off of 2Us. Invincibility now lasts to the last active frame. Is now blockable. Frame advantage on block is now -4. And spacing after block has increased as a result of this change. Elegant Lariat, travel distance speed have been increased during the final active frames. Same for medium. And then hitbox has been expanded upward when a foe is in midair, hit stun, making it easier to hit. So better conversion off of it. Narcy's damage buff from Work the Crowd, Devoted Body Slam, all versions. From 1,000 to 1,500, 2,025, 25 to 3,000. I can't be bad at that. Good for her. Increased input buffer. Very interesting. Maximum Love Bomb throw range has been extended. And the Shape of Love damage when used outside of combo has been increased from 5,200 to 5,600. Well done. Okay, so she's become much more threatening. It's going to be a scary time for Ladiva, but I think it does help make her much more viable in the grand scheme of things. Vaseraga. Vaseraga's changes mainly center around Soulforge's role in his neutral game. Until now, it has been a single-use buff, but this has caused it to primarily be used with abilities, leaving its potential to provide armor to Vaseraga's charge normals by the wayside. As such, no change to operate on gauge-based system to be utilized more effectively. But we've had 3 successful Vaseragas. Since this change makes it easier to maintain Soulforge's buff, it also lets Vaseraga reapply Soulforge while still under the armor effect. We shorten its hitbox in the interests of balance. This change makes it so absorbing long-range pokes no longer cause the opponent to get hit, avoiding creating a lopsided pressure situation. Okay, sure. We've also given Vaseraga multiple buffs to his normal attacks. Oh god, here we go. Far M now travels forward on activation, improving his mid-range threat range. Okay. To balance this, we've also reduced its active frames and increased its recovery. Okay. In order to improve the ability of players to capitalize on close standing heavy, its hit stun on counter hit has been increased by 4 frames, allowing for easier connections into high damage follow-ups. Since the charged version did not provide much advantage even on hit, we've also adjusted it to cause a crumple on counter hit, oh god, and increase the foe's hit stun on counter by 12 frames. As for far standing heavy, we've significantly increased its midair hit stun to improve its combo potential. The light medium versions of Battalions of Fear have had their startup reduce, making them more proactive tools for punishing whiffed attacks and even poking. Oh man. Heavy version has had the travel distance of the first tackle increased to make it easier to confirm into during combos, while the U version has had its pushback adjusted to leave Vaseraga at the same distance from the foe, regardless of whether they block the first or second hit. So, all right, first and foremost, I have to say they need this, right? Both Ladiva and Vaseraga. We're going into a world of zoners. They need some love. They need love. Close range attack activation, distance for which the opponent can perform close range attacks on Vaseraga midair, shorter than he was grounded, so now share the same activation distance. Okay. Far M now travels forward on activation, and so what? Like you just take that step. Expand hurt box forward during startup frames. Active frames reduced from 6 to 3, and recovery has been increased by 3 frames. Midair hit stun has been increased 20 to 30 frames. Midair lateral knockback has been reduced. This change is intended to make it easier to follow up with skills such as light battalions of fear, so more corner carry for an anti-air if it does connect. Counter hit stun has been increased by 4 frames. Close heavy counter hit stun has been increased. Same for charge, from 12 to 16 for the regular, 12 to 24 for charge. Huge. Yeah, that makes all the more sense. If I charge it, it should be more hit stun, and now causes crumple. This is a fantastic change for this. Far standing heavy, recovery has been reduced by 7 frames, changing frame advantage from -15 to -8. Damn. Midair hit stun has been increased 24 to 60, so he can do better anti-air. Hit stun has been increased by 4 frames, from 34 to 38. Launch height has been increased off of dash H. And Soul Forge, hitbox while Soul Forge already active, has been shortened. That just suddenly got louder. I hit the loop playlist option and it just didn't. That's okay. A Soul Forge gauge has been added below the SBA gauge. Soul Forge will now stay active as long as there's still gauge. Using a skill that gains armor from Soul Forge will cause the gauge to begin depleting. Following actions cause the gauge to deplete by an additional 20%. Any action that gains armor from Soul Forge and absorbing a hit. Okay, so you're constantly cycling back into Soul Forge to reapply it, but you still have it. Okay, so functions the same, but like you're still messing around with like a gauge economy, I guess, similar to like how Zoe's gauge works. We'll see what that looks like in the training mode. 3 frame startup reduction here for battalions on light. For medium, travel speed and distance have been increased for the initial tackle. U battalions of fear pushback when blocking the second hit has been reduced when the first hit whiffs. Startup has been reduced from 15 to 14 frames for heavy Savage Rampage. Okay. Recovery has been reduced by 4 frames from -10 to -6 for the sweeping slash. Lateral knockback has been reduced for crushing strike. This change is intended to make it easier to follow up midair hits. Okay. We got to make these grapplers better, baby. All right, Beelzebub. Our changes to Beelzebub focus around strengthening his neutral game by making it easier for him to utilize his projectiles and high jump. This mainly consists of improvements to his mobility and reductions to the startup of his moves. Several of his abilities have also had their hit and block stun adjusted. Mobility-wise, we've extended his forward high jump's travel distance to distinguish its use cases from his normal jump. This should make it easier for Beelzebub to perform aerial offenses. Medium Black Flies had a slow startup and travel speed and was often stuffed outright by a foe's attacks before it could come out, so we've improved it in both respects. Additionally, we've reduced the time it takes to charge the charged light and medium versions to shorten the window in which a foe can interrupt them. Furthermore, all versions of Karma have had their frame data adjusted, Until now, it has been difficult to judge Karma's frame advantage because of its variability at different distances. But we've standardized the numbers on hit and block to be the same at every distance. A particular note is the light version, which, with its reduced startup, can now be incorporated into combos in certain situations, improving those combos' damage potential. Interesting. We got new routes for Beelzebub. Finally, we've expanded medium unisonic's follow-up possibilities on hit or counter hit, allowing for combos even at mid-screen. Alright, so high jump height has been reduced. Forward high jump travel distance has been increased. Light flies charged. Startup has been reduced 31 to 26. Medium flies, projectile speed increased due to an issue where multi-hit projectiles would pass through after clashing, even if black flies still had hits remaining. Black flies now stays in place after a clash till her box returns. Oh. So that, to make it work like other projectiles. Okay. When they clash. No charge startup is reduced from 38 to 31. Recovery increased by 6 frames. Combined with the above startup adjustment, total frames have been changed from 57 to 56. Hit and block stun have been adjusted. Frame advantage on block is unchanged. Okay. Frames required to charge have been reduced 18 frames from 51 to 33. Okay. Recovery increased by 6 frames. And hit and block stun remain unchanged. Wait, hit and block stun have been adjusted. Frame advantage on block stun is unchanged. Okay. No, on block. And then fully charged. Startup has reduced from 83 to 65. Holy smokes, that's going to be way faster. (51 to 33). Recovery increased by 6 frames combined with the above startup adjustment from 102 to 90. Hit and block stun have been adjusted. Frame advantage on block, though, is unchanged. The heavy black flies due to an issue where multi-hit projectiles would pass through even after clashing. Even if black flies still had hits remaining. Black flies now stays in place after a clash until its hitbox returns. Okay. The initial swing now pushes foes forward on hit. Foes towards Beelzebub on hit. That's the all black flies. Making it easier to follow up. Due to an issue where multi-hit projectiles, the same thing, will remain on screen until a hitbox returns. Startup has been reduced for Karma to 21. Frame advantage has been standardized. +2 on block, +26 on hit. Okay. And then +4 on block, +31, no matter what. And then +2 on block for the H version, but +26 on grounded. Wait. This one. Oh, but okay, so just standardize the block stun. No change to the startup. Mid-air hit recovery has been reduced by 41 frames, 60 to 19. For light unisonic, launch height has been increased. And lateral knockback has been reduced. So you can follow up with light unisonic. Okay. And medium causes ground bounce. Okay. It seems not so bad. I mean, just focus on making him a little bit better at zoning. Yeah, and then even the dive kick is still a little bit better too. It'll be really interesting to see how fast these go now. Let's see if anyone actually picks up Beelzebub though. Nier. One aspect of Nier's gameplay is that if death disappears after Nier performs a combo, that consumes Love's redemption stacks. Some time is required before death can be resummoned. Our balance changes for Nier this patch focus around improving the rate at which she recovers Love's redemption stacks. This is fair because I feel like she has been gutted. She should be, though. She should be. The recovery speed of the Love's redemption gauge now speeds up after a fixed amount of time has passed. We've also added several new methods to recover gauge with standing U and JU without death now recovering the same amount of gauge on block as on hit. Interesting. so more incentive to use it even in block strings. To compensate for these buffs, we reduce Death's travel distance on whiff during H Ominous turn. In terms of other balance changes, we've reduced the startup of Far Medium from 10 to 9 and reduced knockback on You Misfortune to make it easier to continue pressure afterward. We've also increased Love's Redemption gauge, recovery speed after World of Death and Love, reducing the amount of HP required for gauge recovery and time before death can be resummoned. What's up, Chance and Nor? Welcome to the stream. Let's see, so Love Redemption gauge now recovers slowly at first and then speeds up after time pass. I think that's pretty cool. Death no longer disappears after throw breaking. If she was in the middle of an attack, she will return to a standby state. That's fair. Actually, that's kind of fair. Because, like, that feels so bad. Like, you tech a throw defensively as Nier, and then you lose death for whatever period. So no matter what, like, that's a lose scenario for her if you run up throw. And even if she throws, like, she loses. Love's Redemption, standing no charge. Gauge recovery increased, and recovery on block increased to match that up on hit. Same for charged, yeah, and then pain, jump you. Fatal Waltz, hitbox expanded on hit or block, making it harder to whiff in the middle of the skill. Okay. Light medium misfortune. Mid-air hit recovery has been increased 18 to 25. Total frames have been reduced from 67 to 52 when used as a starter, changing frame advantage from -5 to +10. Okay. And that's her forward special. Close range, ult, misfortune, lateral knockback on the final hit has been reduced, reducing distance between players and increasing frame advantage. Misfortune without death, close range, lock on range has been reduced. Death's travel distance reduced when whiffing. Death now comes to a stop after the 4th active frame, reducing travel distance. Light death reverse combo starter. Startup has been reduced 19 to 18. Hit and block stun for death and the foe have both been increased by 1 frame. This change is intended to prevent changes in frame advantage due to the faster startup. Okay. Clock and Totentons. Screen darkens 2 frames earlier, changing the first active frame from 16 to 14. Love's Redemption gauge recovery speed increased, reducing time required before death can be resummoned. HP required to recover gauge has also been reduced as a result of this change. Alright, I think this makes her a little bit more viable with the new changes to the gauge. So she's not just basically gutted for a lot of these interactions. Plus the throw thing is pretty huge. Vane, here's the hope. Our boy Vane gets nothing but buffs. With Vane, we improve the defensive ability and counterattack potential of his One for All. That's not what I wanted. One for All is designed. Vane is the homie. You play it for a bit. Vane is so good. Just outshined by some of these folks. One for All is designed to be an ability that nullifies a single attack from a foe, allowing Vane the window to perform a counterattack. However, it saw particular difficulty in dealing with dash and jump attack. I literally ran right through it. Like, I literally run right through this shield. As someone who has previously played Vane, and I now understand this matchup, I have no reason to ever pay attention to the shield unless if it's the ult shield. So we've increased its duration and the range at which it nullifies attacks with the aim of increasing its usability. I wonder if it's like forward or backward, like how far that goes. Like if is it both sides or is it only like in front of the shield? We'll have to look. Breakthrough is a counterattack move with super armor properties, but since the super armor disappeared when Vane started the attack animation, it would often get interrupted by continued pressure, making it ineffective at its intended purpose. As such, we've extended the super armor to be active during the attack animation and adjusted it so that Vane can follow up into a combo after counter hit. That's huge. Thank you for rewarding Vane. In addition to extending the ground version of Energy Destruction's forward hitbox to improve Vane's reach. I'm so scared. How big did this get? It was already big. We've also adjusted the mid-air version to be a 2-hit move. This should make it easier to hit confirm and follow up into a combo with moves such as Jumping U. The startup has also been reduced and the damage increased. What? It was difficult to follow up with heavy arm destruction after a successful hit, so we've reduced its lateral knockback on hit to make it easier to connect in a close standing out. I don't think Vane's need help with that. I don't think they... Now wait a minute, hold on. That's a lot of dip on the chip right there. Hold on now. The medium and alt versions of Wild Beat have had their travel distance increased to improve Vane's reach. Note that as a result, this has also made them more easily punishable on block. Fair. All right, so JU mid-air counter hit now plays counter animation. That's sick. Can now be canceled during the downward swing on hit. Oh, happy days. Are you kidding me? Damage has been increased from 1,000 to 1,500 on breakthrough. That's a huge chunk. Armor now remains till end of the attack. Grounded hits now cause ground bounce and are now recoverable. Counter hits are also recoverable, but can also be followed up. Wild Beat, travel speed and distance increased. Wild Beat, increased travel speed and distance, pushback reduce. Finishing blow that only activates on hit has had its hitbox expanded vertically upward, causing the finishing blow to activate even if the flurry strikes hits high. Good. Lateral knockback reduce of heavy arm destruction. Energy destruction. Forward hitbox expanded for light and heavy. Mid-air energy destruction, all versions now has a 2-hit hitbox during the falling animation prior to landing. Goddamn. Damage increased from 1,400 to 1,700. First hit is 500, 1,200 per second. First active frame has been made earlier from 32 to 29. Not bad. 1,800 damage total for the medium. 31 frame is the first. And then 2,300 damage total for first and second hit. 24 frames is the first active frame. His midair move was like, it was good with very specific circumstances. It's a great way to like avoid fireballs, to low crush sometimes. You could air to air, but it had to be like once the energy destruction came out, that's when you're air to airing to bring people down. But also you could just use the light version, right, to bring people down like that, or even the EX. Damage has been increased for the alt version to 3,100 for the first and second hit. All right. One for all. Shield now becomes slightly transparent when Vane approaches it. Okay. Shield's now larger. Shield's hurt box has also been expanded as a result. So when you're going to be hitting those, but thanks, Fukar. We'll see. We'll have to take a look. Because if it's double hitting, I have to imagine it's on the upward trajectory, like the launch, and then the arm comes down for the second hit. So like, you might have an alternative anti-air. We'll try it in training mode and see what happens. Counter hittable window has been reduced by 18 frames from 40 to 22. And the duration increased from 180 to 210. Travel distance unchanged. Counter hittable has been reduced by 6 frames from 40 to 34. Duration has been increased from 180 to 210 with travel distance unchanged. Counter hittable window for heavy reduced by 18 frames, so just to match the light version. And yeah, everything matches the light. Fascinating. All right. Beatrix, it's been a long time coming. I don't think you need changes, but some other people feel like you got a lot. So let's see what they did at Beatrix. First of all, Vane, congrats. You got some real moves. Your 5U is now functional. This energy and arm destruction change is actually pretty cool. We'll see how that plays. Our changes to Beatrix focused around rebalancing the parts of her kit that offered too much reward, as well as those which were difficult to find a use for. Okay, her unique action, Nothing is Forever, left the foe too far away from Beatrix. Continue a developed defense. Yes! Yes, it did! We've reduced the distance it leaves between her and the foe, which should give her a smoother time of keeping up the pressure. Very nice. So, what's fascinating about this move, unlike before this patch, unlike Wild Throw, she doesn't have RC to extend. So it's kind of just said and done, but even Wild Throw is like, Soul is right there. So for her to use this 5U, it's a massive knockback. There's enough of a gap where the opponent can still DP right after. Likely, you can still DP here anyways, but at the very least, I don't have to worry about like a far normal potentially. I'm hoping maybe a close range normal, because if I could safe jab, that'd be fun. We've reduced the hit stun. Wait, yeah. We reduced the hit stun on counter hit for light riding free. Vane can no longer combo. It's a sad day. Sad day. Y'all really couldn't block low. I say that and I couldn't block low last night either. To compensate, we've buffed Light Thunderbird by increasing its initial speed and total travel distance, as well as making it possible to combo if the second hit counter hits a grounded opponent. Sure, man. That's a equivalent exchange. Second hit onwards of the heavy and U versions of Riding Free can now be blocked standing. And the heavy version has had its recovery increase to make it easier to punish. That's pretty good. Have I got to look at Galleon, or are you only going through the patch notes first? I'm doing the patch notes first, and then we're going to dive into everything Galleon. What's up, Seawits? Thank you for joining. We'll 100% do that. We got to get through the everything else, you know. We got to get through the vegetables before we get to the meat. The U version's wall bounce distance on the final hit has been increased to allow for increased combo potential. Okay, no, I like this change for Beatrix here, because there's a lot of times where we've been like trying to go for the crouch block and like we stand up because like I blocked it all, so I should be fine, and you stand up, still get opened up. You've been playing Unica lately? I need to jump on Unica. Wait, she just, what do you mean lately? She just came out. She literally just got, I got home and she was out. I do need to jump on. That's another thing I need to jump on. I'll probably end up doing that tomorrow. Finally, the lateral knockback of the final hit of Alt Umbrosk's sword has been increased when at close range to prevent Beatrix from switching places with the foe after the hit. Huh. Really? Nothing is Forever. Distance from the foe after a successful throw has been reduced. And then just double check me. Heavy Star Chaser. Grounded close range now launches foes. Nixie! I can't wait. I can't wait. Someone remaining? Okay. We haven't watched the video yet. I got no details on Galleon yet. We're getting through everything else, and we'll do Galleon. You're like just in time. We're about to wrap up patch notes. Now launches foes for the grounded close range. Close range counter hit. Hit stun has been reduced by 4 frames. It's intended to prevent reductions in follow-up window after a counter hit. That's interesting. This hurts a lot. You didn't mention any of that. You didn't mention any of that up here, that you messed with Star Chaser. So your grounded follow-up is essentially gone. So you can't do heavy Star Chaser grounded after triple attack and then go ride free. Well, no, you might be able to still. We'll see how far it launches, because it still gives you the follow-up window. Lateral knockback projectile third hit has been reduced. So yeah, you should still be able to do that. Yeah, she shouldn't be too far gone anyways. Like, these changes aren't bad. Lateral knockback and final hit increased of the Umbrox sword. Okay. It is to prevent you switch. So that makes sense. So like you get the uppercut, you just reset neutral. You don't get to run by and switch the corner. Like that's too much benefit. I understand. Light Thunderbird startup travel speed has been increased, increasing travel distance. Hitbox on downward kick has been expanded downward, preventing Beatrix from jumping over crouching foes. Man, where was this literally this morning? Grounded corner hit, second hit now causes, or counter hit, excuse me, now causes crouching state. Okay. So you still get the follow-up right after to replace effectively the light riding free counter hit. Pushback on block for second hit has been increased. Okay. Counter hit stun has been reduced by 4 frames, changing frame advantage from +6 to +2. Okay. Counter hit stun has been increased by 4 frames to medium, changing frame advantage from +6 to +10. So more incentive to use the medium riding free, because then that's a better combo starter. So that makes it all the more threatening, but it also has substantial risk. So if it's called out, it gets thrown. If you're not at the right distance, people can normal jump it. It's a little more telegraphed. So it's kind of like it's an interesting replacement. Second hit and onward now hit high. Recovery has been increased by 2 frames, from changing frame advantage from 6 to 8. So basically everyone can get a punish on it. Knockback has been adjusted for grounded hits. This has no impact on the follow-up window, but the follow-up window for anti-air hits may slightly increase as a result. You riding free, the second hit and onward now hit high, while bounce rebound has been increased for final hit. Yeah, so she's not too terribly nerfed. It's interesting. It's a weird exchange that they did here. Some more utilization of Thunderbird. Light riding free should see a little bit of a reduction. You still get like your quick like counter hit, so likely you have to make a hard read off the medium riding free to get back what you had before. This launching now for Star Chaser is interesting, but we weren't really getting. Oh no, this actually messes with the corner combo too. Oh, but let's not forget at the top that the combo limit off of a triple attack doesn't push you to the end. So it messes with the combo routing a little bit in the corner, but it should still be consistent. We'll have to try it out and see how far we get, because of that combo limit change. That's going to be very interesting. All right, Versusia now. The heavy versions of Versusia's abilities were overshadowing her other options in her neutral game, so we brought them slightly back in line while buffing the rest of her kit. Now, what's interesting about Versusia is that her cooldown on heavy was probably like pretty good. I kept saying it was like kind of akin to like Lucilius, although certainly not at level 5, but like it was still a pretty significant like cooldown period. Just a really fast one. I know folks really say like this character is strong, she's good, but I don't know, like I think people like feel like she's way more powerful than she is. I don't know. I think we put a lot of weight into corner carry stateside here. Like corner carry characters seem to get a lot of attention. Granted, don't get me wrong, like she just combos into anything. She has great tools and great cooldowns, but man, we certainly don't see her out there as much as people would like to think she's going to be out there. Standing L's use of a poke to prevent a foe's approach was too strong. I agree with that. So shorten its hitbox and reduce its clash level. Her unique action, Celestial Strike, often led into lengthy, highly damaging ground combos, while her abilities cooled down, so we changed it to launch foes on hit. Fair. In compensation, we've adjusted medium Samsara's frame data to ensure it can be smoothly followed up into after a Celestial Strike. Heavy Deadly Flare was seeing persistent usage as a poke neutral tool due to its large lock-on range. So we reduced that while extending the lock-on range and reducing the startup of the medium version to improve its usability. Okay. We shall see. Similarly, we've reduced the active frame so heavy Anitia to curb its space control potential while extending the active frames of the medium version. Anitia is the down special. We've also adjusted the medium version by increasing its total active frames and adjusting its travel speed. Now begins slow, but gradually accelerates. Huh. This should make it more useful for Versusia's neutral game, rather than just her combos. Fair. Oh, an increase to her dash. At least being able to block. That's huge. So it makes her dash more of a massive commitment. Downward hitbox of 5L has been reduced. Clash level reduced. Do they have the old Clash level still? Was it like Clash level 4 or something? Or was Clash level 2? Unless they changed it like already. But yeah, Dustloop has it listed as Clash 2. I thought I heard something crazy, like it was an insane Clash level. Upward hitbox has been shortened. This change is intended to rectify the fact that Versusia's hurtbox after activation was slightly higher than other characters. Dash speed after 21st frame has been equalized. As a result, travel distance has been increased when executing dash L during frames 21 to 23. And has been reduced when executing from frame 24 and onward. Interesting. Dash speed after the 21st frame has been equalized. Travel distance when executed from frame 21 onward has been increased. And then dash speed after 21st frame has been equalized. Travel distance when executed from frame 21 and onward increased. Probably to help you react to it a little bit better, because it does feel awkward to try to do that stuff. Anti-air launch height for JM has been reduced, while lateral knockback has been increased. This change is intended to make it easier to follow up with skills such as use Samsara. JH, anti-air lateral knockback has been reduced. Grounded Celestial Strike now launches foes. That's her. That's her, hold on. That's just the 5U. Right? It's gotta be just 5U. Yep, it is. Okay. I knew it. Interesting that it's not there. Recovery has increased by 8 frames, changing frame advantage from +4 to -4. So increasing combo limit, but also keep in mind that triple attack for combo limit. Deadly Flare startup reduced from 29 to 25. Forward tracking has been increased, causing it to now hit foes at maximum range. H Deadly Flare, forward tracking has been reduced. Lateral knockback has been increased on H Nimbus. Okay, so they don't want her to be as oppressive as she was before in zoning. Projectile speed adjusted for Anitia. The projectile starts slow and gradually speeds up. That's the grenade. Heavy active frames have been reduced to 60 to 36. Projectile invincibility immediately after movement begins has been removed from a Yomatsu. That's the skybound. Whoa. Strike throw invincibility has not been changed. So you can't just zip through projectile. They are preparing for these. This is literally preparing for zoners, baby. Projectile invincibility immediately after movement begins has been removed. These are all because of the zoners. Yeah. So cool. We'll see how this plays. It, much like in the same fashion of Beatrix, like launching a little bit earlier to play to the combo limit, so maybe the corner carry isn't as oppressive anymore. But with that change, we really need to look at what that triple attack change does. And then lastly is Sandalphon, Supreme Wings, Standing U, Elemental Alignment input has been adjusted in the following ways. Hitbox now activates on button release. Can be used as a follow-up during hits done with U, L, M, or H. If you'll use this lance, have to suffer from projectiles on their SBA, so do Versusia. That's so true, LeBron. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else really kind of gets bothered. Like, what about Lucilius, though? Well, his is a zoning super, so. And then the rest are just bug fixes. So, pretty alright patch, in my opinion. Again, they mess around risk reward. They had to give something to these grapplers here because, man, oh man, were they in for a world of hurt in the near future. So I'm glad that they're getting a little bit of benefit, but we'll see how beneficial that stuff becomes, or how potent, how tuned that is. But yeah, this is a overall pretty alright patch. I don't have any issues. You hate that they crush B without touching on Versusia damage. So they kind of do a little bit because of how often you like launch everything, right? Because now you don't have your Celestial Strike. No, don't you? I don't want you playing an ad when I told you not to. So for example, 5U giving you a launch has you increase your combo limit much faster. Then there's also the change for Onitia to, we're trying to get you to use it as combo, right? Because so much we've been using that space control. So like, yeah, like you're not going to be able to use it for comboing instead of just like going into, like just use that ability just to extend for full screen corner carry. I think she loses a little bit of that. Combo scaling means the damage is almost the same launch or not. But you're getting into the combo limit faster though if it launches. Let's push is also Nasa says 214 just shoves you screens away. 2-4, yeah. And that's with you follow-ups anyways. But also keep in mind, like, you're not going to react to it, right? But like if your opponent makes a hard call with 2 and 4L, then you could still rip a reversal through it. It is jumpable, right? Like it's not, I get what you're saying that you're still going to get that push on block, but that's not the first thing that they tackled. They tackled rather using her tools in the way that it seems like they intended to build them initially, of like trying to counter zone or at least do some zoning. We relied a lot on H pillar to try to snipe things out, which they're trying to reduce. And what you use light medium, because like what reason do I have to use medium when I can just use the heavy with how fast that recovers anyways. The down special Anitia, that orb, like I get what they're saying too, because like I literally just said down special charge. All right, cool, I'm set up. Like we'll see. I'm very curious to see how that ball roll works out. But yeah, this patch, no complaints for me really. Again, it is another one of those light touches like 2.0 was. This almost jump scared me, the jumping attacks, removing the fuzzies from everybody except for Fairy, thank God. And Zeta, I guess like she gets it. But this one is going to be very fun to see how that works out because of how some of these combos change with this patch for both Versusia and Beatrix. But that's that for the patch. There's one more thing we got to look at. Let me know what you thought about the patch in the YouTube comments because this is going to be cut up. It's my review. It's been a pretty fun patch, but we're going to go. It's the way they explain it was the jumping U canceling the midair normal attacks will still behave as prior. So we'll check it out. I don't think that was the case. Yeah. So okay. Interesting. Because the way I was reading it was like, while rising off of Pogo is the way I was like trying to understand it. So like after that initial block Pogo or the rise off the JU, then you have the button follow up after that you still connect. I think that really only would impact like the tall characters anyways, which is like Voss and Versusia. But if that is the case, then yeah, okay. Rising JL in the skills is gone, but rising JU isn't as scary. Okay. Fascinating. Well, as long as Fairy has it still, that's fine. Thank you for the context on that too. All right. Let's watch this Galleon.